So today we are going to speak more about customer personas. So if I should give a recap of what we spoke in the last session, let's maybe go back to the screen. So in the last session, we discussed more about what is the difference between a B2B and a B2C client, and when a B2B client is pitching versus when you're pitching to a B2C client, what is the difference that you have in terms of what you pitch? And then we spoke more about how to define your services based on who is putting in the more efforts. Let's say if your product is putting in lesser number of efforts in the overall revenue, how to price your product. And if the majority of the business success is coming from your product, then how do you price yours? So based on this, we spoke more about how to price your services and the different terminologies in lead generation. And then we spoke about what is the goal that you should set up for your lead generation, especially if you're looking forward to this is my revenue generation for this quarter. How do you set up your goals? And from there, we divided your clientele into three things: the small scale, mid scale, and the large enterprise deals. So we went in deeper to explore more about how your small clients will focus more on covering your overhead and operational cost, which means your all your small time deals should ensure that the revenue you generate from that should cover your monthly expenses. Because only when it does that, you will be having a good number of what do you say? You will be having a comfort zone to work in and to generate profitability in your business. And your mid-sized clients should focus more on the, let's say, the revenue that you generate from your mid-sized client should go towards the growth and the investment for your company, so that this way you will be profitable even if you do not have any enterprise deals. And since your overheads and your growth investments are covered completely by your small and mid-sized clientele, any profit that your enterprise deal brings in is pure profit for you. Trust me when I say this, this is where your business actually generates profit. Because in many companies, what they do exactly the inverse. Your enterprise deals will pay for, let's say, if you're getting a big size deal today, you will save it and you will keep paying for, let's say, your salaries and everything else. But what happens here is, what you do not understand is, going forward, your small ticket sizes is what will bring you profit. And when you work that way, your profits will be very minimal. So if you ask me, is this something that is giving you the exact output for the type of business that you're running? In many cases, not the case. Your profits are very smaller. But if you just flip the narrative and if you make it in a way that you're consistently generating all sizes of clients, then in that case, the larger deals bring in pure profit, which will increase the amount of pleasure that you get by running a business. Because ultimately, profit is what is driving a business, right? So we spoke about that, and then we spoke about the three types of sales funnel: the outbound approach, the account based marketing, and your inbound. So while we stop the session at these lead generation channels, today we are starting with customer personas. Now, firstly, what is a customer persona? Let's just begin with that. So if I should give you a definition, a customer persona means a clear representation of who your ideal prospect is. Let us say in this part, we are speaking more about a small size client, a medium size client, and a larger deal, right? So here we are splitting it based on if I'm getting a ticket size of let's say 10 to 20,000, that's a small size deal. If I'm getting something that's like 70, 80,000, that's a medium size. But if I'm getting something that's anywhere upwards of 3 lakhs, that's a larger scale. On an average for smaller B2B business, this is the case. But what if, how do you define who will pay me these numbers? What is the difference between a client who is a small ticket client and a larger scale client? Is it just the size of their company? Is it just about the bank balance of the person who's paying you? There are so many other things, right? So a customer persona will help you to clearly define, see, if this is how the person is, this is the profile of this person, this is the ticket size that you're supposed to be pitching. So this will help you to segregate your prospects faster and also will help you to generate leads quicker. Let's say for example you have a goal. You have a goal of I want to generate X number of small scale deals and this number of mid-sized deals in a month. So you should know if you wanted 10 small scale clients in a month, you should pitch to at least 50 of them. And if you have to pitch to at least 50 of them, you should know whom to pitch. That knowing whom to pitch is what your customer persona will help you to define. So that is what we are saying when we say, okay, I'm going to pitch to a small size client. So today what we are going to do, we are going to figure out how do you construct this customer persona so that by the end of this session today, which means by this week, you are going to create clear, definite customer personas for you so that you can know whom to pitch, how to pitch, and how exactly to generate these leads. Trust me when I say this, many businesses actually miss out on that. They do not have a clear customer persona, and so since they do not have a clear customer persona, they don't know whom to pitch. And since they do not know whom to pitch, at the end of the month, they do not have a good number of pipeline for them. Their revenue is not coming up to the mark primarily because they do not know whom to pitch. So please do not make that mistake because ultimately you should clearly know whom to pitch first. Now, let us start with identifying your customer personas based on the type of clientele. So, like I mentioned before, there are firstly whom you are pitching depends on what you sell. Always remember this should be the central point of your business. So, only based on what you sell, you should know what you pitch. So, firstly, if you are selling a low ticket product, so like we discussed last time, any low ticket product should come with low effort, correct? So if you are selling for 20k, the efforts you put should be just for 20k. Sometimes what happens is the amount of follow-ups that you have would actually be like you're spending so much time that your time is this time spent on closing the deal is not worth the 20,000 that you bring in. Please do not make it that way. Because if you do that, you will be spending all your time with low ticket clients and you will not have any time for your enterprise deals. So the amount of money you make should be directly proportional to the amount of time you're spending. If you spend 1 hour a day, ensure that you're billing for 1 hour of your time. Do not spend most of your time working for a small ticket client. That will never give you. So if you're selling for 20k, then your effort should also be for 20k. In that case, your customer persona should be lean. Now, what do I mean when I say it's lean? This means you have a 3-step customer persona. So we are going to speak about steps of persona. So first I'll define the basics and then I'll take you through what it is. So first we'll talk about the 3-step customer persona. Now, if you are selling a mid-ticket offer, in this case, the effort that you put will be moderate, plus you will have a pre-sales and a commercial selling point. What this means is, let's say when it's a low ticket client, so when you're first discussing, only in the first discussion you will clearly say, okay, so this is my exact product that I have, this is your requirement, this clearly fits in, and this is what we are going to sell. You will have all of the commercial, every discussion in one call. So ideally this is not personalized, right? You have something that is steady. Let's say you're selling your ERP solutions. Let's take for an example. You're selling an ERP solution for a low ticket client. You will not customize the product a lot. You will just have the product and you're selling it. That's all. So everything will get over within the one call. So in here, your customer persona can be very lean. I'll also show you how you can segregate those customer personas and how you can pitch. Whereas when you're selling a mid-ticket client, what happens is they come with requirements. They come with, let's say, a request or a need. Now, for this need, you will create an offer. So, this is more like a proposal for them. And then you will first have a technical discussion. And then you will tell the commercials. And then we'll also have a commercial negotiation, right? And then it will close. So, here, since the effort is also moderate, it is ideal to have a 9-step customer persona. Because when you have a 9-step customer persona, you will be able to clearly define why this person is coming to me and what exactly should I sell. Now, when it comes to enterprise deals, now these are high effort, high value clients. So in this case, they have a RFQ. RFQ stands for request for proposal. Now based on this RFQ, you draft a clear workflow. And along with the workflow, you also give them a clear timeline and a monthly retainer. Now, what happens here is they discuss, and then the discussion has an inter-team discussion, and then they have a technical round, plus they also have a QA round, a quality analysis round, and then the commercials are discussed, and finally you agree on terms. Because here the terms are discussed very clearly and then the sign up happens. So for this, you need to have a clear account based marketing customer persona. So this way, even when you're creating a customer persona, you need to ensure that depending on the size of your clientele, it's actually varying. Let's talk about how we do it in our company. So ideally, when we take the low tick, okay, before I go in here, is my audio, video, and the let's say the flow of the conversation, the speed in which I'm speaking, is everything okay for you? Just give me a thumbs up and let me know if that's okay. Perfect. So far, any questions for anyone? So far, any questions? Okay, perfect. Great. All right. All right. Okay. So if you have a question, feel free to leave it in the chat box. Let's get started from there. All right. So firstly, when we are taking a low ticket client, like I said, it's a three-step customer persona. So when it's a three-step customer persona, what we do is we take the category of the company. Okay. Category of the company. And from the category of the company, the next step we go to designation. Whom are we reaching out to? And then we have one trigger. Now, what is the trigger? Let me give you some examples. Let's say I am reaching out to a IT service provider who has established his company in 2021 and has just um, filed returns for over 2 CR this last financial year. Now, if let's say we are reaching out to this service provider here, we have a company category, and then we have one thing about what is this recent goal. That is, if my services are specially for the companies who are already in 2 crore, then this is a trigger that I am looking at. Now, in this company, I can either reach out to the CEO, or since it's just 2 crore, I can also reach out to the founder or co-founder. Now, this way, here my customer persona is co-founder of a IT company with 2 crore turnover with at least 4 years of experience. Now, this is the exact profile of my client. So here, if you see, I clearly know this is how I am segregating it. Now, how will I target them? Let's go on to that, okay? First, let's define the customer personas. And once we have the personas, let's go on to how do we target them clearly. I'll teach you all in this session. Now, let us talk about the second step. Let us talk about the, 1 second. Yeah, let us talk about the mid-ticket clients. So when we are focusing on mid-ticket, we have a 9-step customer persona. Now, what do we mean by a 9-step customer persona? Here, we are going in a little deeper. So I am going to share another thing with you. Allow me a minute here so that I can open another document. So I just brought in ready-made templates for you so that you can just implement it very easily. So these are made on Jamboard. So let me share it with you. Okay, give me a minute. Yeah, here we are. Okay, now I hope you're able to see my screen. Perfect. Okay, so now you're seeing my screen and not me, but that's okay. Let it just go on for a while. Let me just show you how this works. So here, if you see, now this is how we define a 9-step customer persona. Now, why is it called a 9-step customer persona? Because here there are 9 cubes in it. So there are 9 things that you will actually find answers for, so that you are able to get it. So the first thing starts with, what is this personality? Personality, on the other hand, what type of person is he? So more of an age, a character, or especially what they spend money on. So this is the first cube that we find out. And once after this, we go on to the demographics, which is the city they live in, the places that they go, or the lifestyle that he or she has. Now, why do we have all of this? Because when you're going to speak to an, let's say, ideally, as you're speaking to a mid-sized client, your negotiation style also needs to clearly match with them. For example, some CEOs, some co-founders whom you see, they would be straight shooters. If you work on building your relationship with them, it might not actually work. On the other hand, if you find someone who values relationship more than just the commercials, then if you're just getting on to see these are the commercials, this is how the value works, these are the case studies, that might not work. So you need to be very clear on whom you're talking with, what is the personality of the other person, so that you can maintain your overall sales pipeline and you can maintain overall sales process accordingly. So choose your sales people in the right sense. So define who your prospect is, what kind of sales people you have. Actually, I'll tell you a story. Most of my clients whom I work with, our discussions are strictly towards what exactly we wanted to discuss, and ideally we don't even know any more details about the other person other than the professional details. Sometimes not even their last name or not even the details of who the person is. Because ideally we keep our conversations very strict to this is what it is, this is the agenda, and this is the next steps that we are going to take up. Whereas I've had my friends or my other founders who build relationship with their clients to the way that whenever there's a celebration they get invited. So that's like different ways in which people work. And that's how the relationship works depending on who the person is. For me, what works better might not work for the other person. And trust me, there are also clients who prefer it. There are some clients who would prefer to just stick to the point, and there are some clients who would prefer to have a good relationship. So, when you understand more clearly on what type of clients you are comfortable dealing with, you can ensure that you can set up your sales funnel accordingly. Because this has a direct correlation to what is your conversion rate. How many clients are you converting? So, see, also another very important thing. It doesn't matter how big your sales pipeline is if you're not closing clients. It's totally okay if you're just getting 5 deals a month and if you're closing 2. But if you're getting 30 leads a month and if you're closing just 3 or just 2, then your efforts are not utilized in the right way. Somewhere there is a gap which you need to fill. So in that case, just having a sales funnel is not right for you. Identify who your customers are. Because I've had some clients who have said, let's say they have use the exact same process, exact sales funnel, but they have not gotten results because they are not clear on two things. One, what am I selling? And number two, who am I selling to? And that's exactly why in this session I started with first define what your offer is, what you wanted to sell, and secondly define whom you're going to sell it to. Because that plays a very major role on how your deals are closing. Okay. Ensure that your deal closing is a very important thing and everything else can take a back step. Number three, we focus more on spending patterns. Spending patterns, the reason why it's necessary is some clients would prefer paying the money in advance. They won't have an issue with that. Whereas some, they're a little hesitant on paying the full money in advance. So they say, okay, first we needed a splits. We need splits based on milestones. And then we need a performance plus incentives, so on and so forth. So choose what your terms are and stick to it. It is definitely not essential for you to always be flexible with your client because in our company we had a lot of bad debts because initially when we started, we our clients expect flexibility, so we provide a flexibility too. But many times it's very tough to recover payments. So if you do not want to get stuck into it, always ensure to charge in advance because there are clients who are happy to pay you in advance just when they see your case studies, when they see that things are working, and when they trust you. So all that how to build a process of getting them to trust you, we will learn in the upcoming sessions. But for now, just be clear on these things. Understand what the spending pattern is and understand what fits you. Now let's move on to the social life. Why is the social life important? Because this is where you get to connect with them. For example, let's say if you're here for this prospect, we have said they're on YouTube and Google mostly. So ideally, if I'm running YouTube ads or if I'm running some very good display campaigns on Google, now that's a good thing. Some clients, depending on the rank in which you're operating, they're either in business communities like let's say S or TI or BNI, so on and so forth. And some are very interested in let's say more social activities like Lions Club or Road Track clubs and so on. And some clients they are very strict; they don't engage in any sort of networking, but can be found in conferences. So understand more about what their social life looks like. But don't be too protruding. But just check on what their likes and dislikes are on social media. What social media channels do they use? I've had clients who connect with me on Instagram as well. So check on this. These are the social media that my clients prefer, and ensure that your presence is put in offline or in online conferences as far as the demand is concerned. Then, here we have the next important questions. What is his previous experiences and life's challenges. Now, when it comes to this, don't talk more about what their personal life challenges are, but if they are coming to you, what do you think is the struggle that they are facing in the place that you are providing a service with? For example, in our case, let's say you are here because you already have a product or you already have a service, but you do not know what to sell or you do not know how to sell. Or even in some cases, you've tried a lot of lead generation methods and technologies, but some reason it's not working for you. Or you have a team, but your team is not effective. So you have come and you're saying, I'm missing something. I want to learn what it is. So that's why you're here, right? To understand more about the process. And to do that effectively, you are attending this session. Similarly, what is the pain point for your client? It doesn't mean that you need to add everything in a business centric way. Also, think deeper into what are the emotional cues for them to attend the session. Now, I'll tell you what the emotional cues mean. Let's say there is a prospect who is reaching out to you asking for IT services. Okay? Let's not go into IT. Let's talk about managerial or HRM services. Now, ideally, the client just wants to hire, they'll just put in a hiring post on LinkedIn or they will float out requirements over WhatsApp groups or their own circles and they can get it. Or even if they're going to the next step, they can take it through Naukri, Apna and get the requirements sorted. But why would they come to you? Why would they reach out to an HR agency? Now, here, if you see, it is not just because of the unavailability of candidates or just to ensure that their operational hurdles are met. It is to ensure that they have stability. They wanted to say, see, now this is my responsibility, but I want to shift it to a responsibility of another person. I don't want to take responsibility for hiring my candidates when there is a company that I can pay to and get it done. So here, if you see, their primary roadblock is not just being operationally available, but their primary roadblock is they do not want to have that responsibility in their hands. So understand more about if they are typing something, if they are typing and searching something on Google, if they're coming to you and talking to you, what is their inner agenda? Because in business, many times people don't teach you how to go beyond a layer and reach out to what is in their mind. Because trust me when I say this, in sales, when you're actually closing a deal, it doesn't matter more about what your offer is or what your commercials are, how competitive you are, so on and so forth. But what matters is what the client feels when they are talking to you. Do they trust you? Do they feel that you can get the work done? Especially, are they confident that you will remove their headaches? Because if that's not the case, in many cases, the client will not say yes to you. Because there will always be a cheaper, a more efficient, and a more competitive offer than you in the market. So never, ever, ever try to be competitive in terms of just the pricing. If your pricing is the only USP, then you will fail miserably because going forward, there will always be people who are inexpensive than you and you will be forced to always give discounts or cut off. So we always have a rule to say we never give discounts to our clients. So what we say is this is what it is. You can go on to the industry, check for clients, always go experiment. And when you see that you're not getting results, then come to us. Because what we are offering, we offer it with a bulletproof guarantees. That's what we say. So always and always give that assurance and that confidence to a client. And to do that right, you need to know, you need to clearly define what are the previous experiences and life challenges. From there we move on to okay, so they have those challenges, that's okay. But with those challenges, why would they prefer coming to you and not go to any other competitor? So, what is the reason? So, when you understand that, that is exactly when you will get to have an idea of okay, so if my competitive advantage is not my offer, it is not my pricing, what is it? What is the next thing? This is where you will get to know that. From here, we're going to move on to the next one, which is the cash flow. What is the budget and what is their income levels? Always and always understand this. If you're asking for a smaller fraction of what the prospect is paying or what they are earning, ideally you close the deal quicker. And that's why when it comes to low ticket deals, we say keep your volumes higher. You can definitely look at closing 5 to 7 deals a month for sure. Because in that, let's say you're charging around 10 to 20,000. If a prospect is earning around 1 lakh, that's like 10% of their income. They won't even think twice before investing. They're like, okay, fine, if I'm getting a good result for this, I'm okay to give the amount. Whereas if a client, same client is making around 2 lakhs a month, and if you're charging 50 to 70,000, they'll think twice. Because that is like upwards of 30% of their income on a single thing, right? Single investment. That's something they'll be a little cautious to, but not really thinking a lot on that. So you can expect to close around one deal, one or two deals a month. Whereas when you're talking about enterprise deals, so that is a bigger chunk of what we are earning. Or ideally, it's also like 2 months of income put into one investment. So in those cases, the sales cycles are longer. That's why we say for one quarter, choose one client. That's an ideal benchmark to have. Don't go beyond that. Because then you'll have goals that you cannot achieve. So always understand what is the cash flow of your prospect and what is their income levels. From here you go on to, okay, so if everything is suiting well, what kind of experiences would they like? Okay, what type of experiences would they like, or why would they come to you to buy your product? So this is where you go in deeper to say, this is what my product offers and this is why they will buy from me. So this is your USP. And finally, we talk about the transformation. Now this is like a dream state. Now when you're here, this is where you clearly start to define, okay, so if the prospect is working with me, how will their before and after looks like? For example, let me show you a real document of how we showcase that. Because I think if I show you practically, you will be able to understand that better. Just give me a second. I'll show you our proposal. When we are selling our B2B sales program, this is the exact proposal that we share with our client. Okay. So here, if you see, wondering how your business is going to shift after 2 months. Before, the prospect did not have a reliable sales system. They have to rely on referrals or connections, and there is no solid pipeline. But after they started working with us, they have one simplified sales system that generates leads every day and a magnetic on organic inbound system that attracts traffic. So before they didn't know what to do, they didn't have a system. Now they have it all sorted. This is the before and after. Similarly, we add a few more points. If you're not confident about your sales, after you work with us, you'll be having a real confidence that you will feel more in charge of your business growth, so on and so forth. And then, if you're currently fighting for too many lead generation activity, you don't know what to do, you put in too many months. After you work with us, you just need to do 45 minutes of focused activity, and that's it. You're done with your lead generation. So this is how the overall transformation will look like. What kind of transformation are they expecting? So, when you put all of these together as a concrete customer persona, now this is where you will get a clear idea of these are my mid-ticket clients. Okay? This is something that you need to clearly do. Now, okay. How many of these things do you think you can implement right from today? Because that is the most important thing. You can learn a lot, but out of all the learnings, what you implement is what will give you the results. Do you think this is something that you can implement readily? Do you think this is something you can get started with and start working on? Any questions so far? Are you okay with the mid-ticket thing that we discussed until now? Do you have any questions? Okay. No questions. Alright. So, if you're really serious about lead generation, I would really like to see how you are coming up with these customer personas. So, I would suggest today, as we send the templates to you, get started with working on your customer personas. Okay. How many of you are ready to come out with your customer personas? How many can I expect today? Or by this week, let's say. We'll have this time. Okay, we have one. How many more? No, guys, just mere listening to it and no efforts will not take you anywhere. So you are here on a Sunday, okay? Understand, Sundays are generally for chilling, right? But you are here because you want to make Sundays better. So when we started, we just thought of one thing. So every time we are taking a break. But you know what happens when we take a break? I'll tell you a small story. When athletes train, there are generally two types of athletes, okay? The ones who generally, let's say if you go to gym, you would know they tell you to work out for 3x or 4x times a week, and then you need a rest day. You need that day to cool down, bring your muscles back in recovery, and then go back to gym again. But when athletes are training for Olympics, there is this one athlete who said generally people train for 4 days and then they take 2 days off and then they get back for one whole day. They start on recovery to bounce back. So when they are taking 2 days off, they're losing 3 days. But Since I am not taking it off and consistently keeping in touch, I don't need time to bounce back. So when over a span of a year, when people get roughly around 250 days, I am getting more than 300 days, and that's where I have my winning edge. So when we started this strategy Sunday, the primary motivation for us is, of course, Sundays are for family time and for relaxing and to take care of the personal aspects of work. But what if we can use 1 hour of this day to have a clear goal and to say, this is my way of being on focus, planning my whole week, and having a clear agenda. Having a clear agenda for what I wanted to do. Then how will it be? So that is what started Strategy Sunday. That's why every Sunday we just want to say, so this is a blueprint for working. Get started with this. Throughout the week, continue with your other process. Go on with running your business, but ensure that you're staying on course. Okay. So that's why we have Strategy Sunday. This is the poster that I have in my office actually. We have it here. I'll share the photo on the group so that you can see as well. So yeah, things like this when see if you see sports and entrepreneurship are closely connected. So the more you are focusing on how the human mind works, you can easily put those attributes into entrepreneurship. And when you're building a company, especially when you're focusing on sales, always remember, sales is a human to human interaction. So how well you understand the other human, how well you clearly know who the other person is, that's when you win. Okay. So when you're building this customer persona, also build another attribute of it, wherein we are also talking more about who is this person. Now here if you see, ideally this also works for a B2C as well, but right now we are focusing only on B2B. So here if you see, this is more of a personal side to this person. So let's say we are keeping a profile as Mr. Vivek Mehta. So who is Mr. Vivek Mehta? How old is he? What is his job title? Where does he stay? What is his educational background? What is his income level? And what does his everyday feel like? Which means, what are his aspirations and values? What are the pain points that he faces? How does he feel emotionally? Because when we know all of that, we can make our conversations completely appealing to it. Don't always be a boring salesperson who just talks about this is what it is and that is what it is, but go in a little deeper to understand more about who the person is. I also had added more examples on this for you. All of them CEOs and co-founders, and okay, though you see an AI picture here, the AI picture is more like an what do you say? So ideally, how we construct these customer personas are, we have a outline of, okay, this is my client, this is an ideal client for me, so I'm here to create her persona. So all of these people are people I have worked with in before. Their names are changed and the company names we have not mentioned. And using their original profiles is how these personas are created. Okay. So the AI versions are replications of the real people. So if you see, all those data are accurate. And every in the data that we have put about what they are feeling, how they are, all of this are actually derived from how we speak with them and how we analyze these people. So trust me when I say this, creating personas like this really works. Now, let's go on to the most important persona, which is the enterprise level persona. Now, when we are working with enterprise clients, ideally, so these are clients that will not be just one person who is making the decision, but will be a company. Okay, so enterprise deals are any deals that is ideally your 4 to 5 months of revenue. For example, any deal that's upward of 25 to 30 lakhs is what we call as an enterprise deal, ideally. So, for those enterprise deals, let's say if you're generating a paycheck for 30 lakhs, then that is not signed off by one person. There is one decision maker, and then there are influencers, and then there are people like investors or partners or let's say chairperson or more like directors in a company who sign it off. So, in this case, you need to be very concrete on who are all these people who are involved. So when we are doing an enterprise deal, ideally how we work is, let me show you this. 1 second. So here we take the help of AI. Let's take the basics of AI. Let's take ChatGPT, and we have some prompts through which we work. So I'm going to give you a list of prompts that you can readily get started with working. And see, trust me when I say this. So whenever you're in sales, the more you use AI, okay. Wait a minute, not this. Yeah. The more you will use AI, the better you get it. The simple information that you want, you can easily get through AI, okay? So these are some prompts that we are using. So ideally what you should do is just open ChatGPT and here copy this prompt 1 and put it here. I believe you're able to see ChatGPT, yes. So you're gonna say I have a product that helps let's say that helps commercial real estate companies generate leads. These are enterprise deals valued at least 30 lakhs per month. Please give me the demographic psychographics pain point. Now, when I put it this way, ChatGPT takes a minute and it gives you a very detailed customer persona. Okay, look at this. So this is the information that I gave. So now it's giving me who exactly are the designations that I have to target, what is the market, what types of firms, what are their motivations, what are their common interests, what are the decisions, a lot of it. Trust me, this keeps going on and on and on. You will get almost everything from here. And this is just prompt 1. Okay. This is just prompt 1. Now again, while this is doing it, you go to prompt 2, you copy this, and once GPT is done, you just put the next one. When you put the next prompt, it again gives you a very clear customer persona again. Okay. So this is my person. So what type of enterprise firm? Now, from here, you continue all of these other prompts as well. Okay. But before you do that, now let us speak about, okay, if this is a person, how do I find that person? For this, we are going to go to LinkedIn, because in LinkedIn, there are two types of tools that will help you a lot. One is your search. So let's say here I'm searching for CEO. I'll get all these filters, okay? I'm going to go to all filters. We'll get these filters activated. Put these details. Here, let's say head of sales, and then the company's target is 500 crore plus, the location, and what type of enterprise firm. All of these are there. Just fill in those details here. I believe you're able to see my screen. Oh, yes, you are. Okay, so fill in these details here. Go on and search real estate. You have different types of real estate, residential, commercial, you get all of it. One for real estate and then service categories. What service category are they in? Here you can put head of sales. Since I am putting in sales, I am mentioning, since I am searching for a lead generation service, I am putting in as sales. And then put it as location. Let's say I am choosing Dubai. If I am going with Dubai real estate, then let's say I am choosing Dubai. I get 56 results of people who are head of in charge of sales in a real estate company in Dubai. So these are all my ideal prospects. So you see, within a minute I got 56. Now, if you wanted to go deeper, if you really wanted to be serious about it, you can also get Sales Navigator. And if you're buying Sales Navigator, ideally I would say don't buy from LinkedIn directly. You'll have third parties who are actually selling for a much cheaper cost. Okay. So in our case, we actually provide Sales Navigator for a year at around what 65,000, 70,000, I guess. So that's around like one third of the price that Sales Navigator is actually selling for. So you get a cheap price. If you want to use, drop a DM and we can go ahead with that. Here, if you see, we have a company headcount. Click on this and see what is the size of your company ideally. Now here this has put companies with 500 crore plus. So if the company is ideally at 500 crores, look at what is the average size of the company, the headcount. Let's say I'm choosing 1000 to 5000. And then what is the company type? Are they a private limited, a public company, whatever it is. And then go on to what is the function of the person, what is the seniority, how many years has he been in that particular company. All of it you will get a very clear idea, and most importantly, you will get more ideas on, has this person already, I mean, is this person already looking for something of this sort? Okay. So you can go to what it is. Let's say people you interacted with, anyone who has already seen your profile or not, or have you saved this person or not, or do you have any say shared experiences? Shared experiences like you are a part of the same group or something like that. Anyone who has changed jobs recently. Let's say if you are providing an IT service and if you wanted to target directors who are just into the business, who are like who was in the role for 1 year or 2 years and now they wanted to look forward to the next thing. So those are audience you can easily see here. Changed jobs in the last few months. So here when you turn this on, you'll get a very clear idea of 2 months in the role, 2 months in the company. So this person has just started the company, he's a co-founder and a CEO, and it's just been 2 months. So this is an ideal prospect for me to pitch. If I just wanted only in India, I can also select that the company is headquartered only in India. So in this case, again, I'll find companies, I'll find people who are just 2 months in the role or 1 month in the role, 7 years in the role, a lot of different types of people. Okay. So just ensure to have your agendas right. For example, I'll show you some of the previous ones that we have. Look at this. Now this is a search of, okay, let it get loaded. Yeah, this is a search of people in directors, CXOs, VPs and partners in India who are in these industries, okay, in these industries, who handle sales. And the company is headcount to this 51 to 200 and 200 to 500. That's all. So see, look at the number of companies that I'm getting. Now all of these people are either directors, VPs or someone in an authoritative role. All of them can make decisions. So when I'm looking for people like this, and out of this I can also see, okay, how many I've recently posted on LinkedIn? How many do I share some common spots with? Look, there are more than 1,000 people. So if I'm just connecting with them with a focus on these are our common points, then that itself is a good leverage to have. Okay. So the point is, the more clearly you define your customer persona, the better you will have opportunities to find those people. Because when you have people who are already there, and when you know this, so you can find these people, it gets very, very, very easy for you. Okay. So always and always and always, what do you do? Ensure to clearly have a detailed customer persona. Okay. So when it's a high ticket, we go with AI generated personas with all our prompts. I'll drop the prompts in here so that you have this handy too. You can readily get started. And the other documents I'll add for you. So I'll add the prompts here. Now, okay, so now you may say, I have all my personas. With this, how do I target right? Or how do I pitch? Or what should be my first message? Or even better, is this person friendly? Or how do I reach out to them? So when you have all these questions about them, let's say when you are focusing on low ticket clients, okay, ideally what we do is we get all these data of all the co-founder of IT company with 2 crore turnover, with 4 years of experience and so on, and we run a mass email campaign. That's it, just an email campaign and nothing else. Because here these are low ticket audience, and so for a smaller amount of revenue, putting efforts doesn't matter. So we just put in a cold email. Whoever responds or whoever opens, they will get the next set of emails. So for this, we have an email funnel. So funnels I'll teach you in the next class, which is in the coming Sunday. So for this, we just do that. Whereas when it comes to a mid-ticket client, what we do, we focus on having a LinkedIn funnel. The same funnel that we have on email, we do it on LinkedIn. So this case, again, it becomes easier because we just put people into a funnel, let it run, and whoever books a call with us, we only take those prospects. Again, no much efforts, but identifying them on LinkedIn, and like I showed you right now, we use Sales Navigator to do that. Number 3, when you are pitching these high ticket prospects, right? So when you're pitching these high ticket prospects, it is highly essential for you to clearly know whether this prospect will actually help me, or whether this prospect is someone I'm putting my time and efforts on, and if I'm putting my time and effort, is it worthwhile? So for that purpose, what I will do, you can install a tool called Crystal. I think it's a Chrome extension. Yeah, this is Crystal. So what if you want to add this to your Chrome? Now I'll show you what Crystal does. Crystal is a very, very, very unique tool, and this is something that has helped us a lot actually. I wanted to show you how this works. So let us say, where is my just sign up with your Google or do whatever it is that you do. And once you open Crystal, what happens is, let me show you in real time what this does. So, let's say I'm going to LinkedIn, and let's say, okay, ideally how we generally pitch is, we go to our profile and we see. So every day our sales campaign keeps running. Okay, so based on a sales campaign, we'll see who are the people who looked at our profile, and based on that, whom we see a good synergy with, we take that people and we analyze deeper. Let us go in deeper into who's an ideal match here. Just give me a second. Let's just go in a little deeper. See, the way we qualify clients. Look at this. We can also find based on who found you through what. Who found you through LinkedIn recommendations? Who found you through your feed? Who found us through this person? See, we have just messaged them, and who found us through our searches? See, this person found us through LinkedIn search. So this way we have a wide range of clients. So let's say right now, mm, mm, mm. Okay, let's take out this person. So when I'm opening his profile, he's a CEO of an AI as a drug recovery platform. Okay, so I'm clicking on Crystal, and this comes in. So what this does is, okay, let's just close this up. Just give me a sec. Okay, since I just installed it, it's asking for all these details actually. View my profile. Okay, this is my profile. View personality. Okay, I'll show you this example here. This is me. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, look at this. So, based on my previous conversation, that's clearly analyzed what type of conversation do I appreciate. Am I in a very closed mindset, or am I open to new ideas? So how does this identify that I am open to new ideas? So this actually makes me, so depending on how people pitch to me and what type of pitch message I respond to, this is actually taken. Look at this. Same visual aids. Keep the conversation focused and aimed at a specific outcome. Remember how I told you I don't really appreciate spending a lot of time to build a relationship. I'm a straight shooter. I'm a straightforward person. So it has clearly identified based on all my conversation. Look at this. Don't overfill the call with lots of analysis and data, because I focus on what the vision is, and it also says don't base on outdated procedures. So this is clearly is placing me on where I am. So in which part of it? So what type of personality am I in? So it clearly gives me. So what is the behavior that I exhibit, and what type of writing styles will make sure that will give you a higher chance of me responding to you. So all of these gives you a clear idea of what type of person are you talking to. Okay. So that is something that Crystal gives you a lot. So Crystal helps you to understand what types of person they are, so that when you're looking at a new prospect, let's say the reason I opened this person is to show you that how I can even look at this, look at not just your own profile but also someone else's profile. So let's see. Okay, since it just started, it's actually giving me this warning again and again. Generally, it doesn't give you this warnings actually. It just gives you the ideas of okay, what type of person they are, okay? But in a nutshell, just understand that Crystal gives, see, and I'm not fed any of these data. I'm not built any profile of mine. So this is just completely based on LinkedIn's insights, based on how LinkedIn analyzes the previous conversation, completely based on that. This is not something that you have to update in Crystal and only then it gives you. It's all completely automated. So the point that I'm giving you here is, whenever you're talking to a person, depending on the ticket size, get to know details about them and analyze them very clearly. Okay. Okay, so we have some questions coming up here. Okay, I'll just take questions. Give me just 2 minutes. Okay. Yes, Crystal works only on LinkedIn. Crystal is a LinkedIn only tool. So, and when it comes to B2B sales, we generally go only with LinkedIn. Most of our strategies are we reach out on LinkedIn or on emails. Both of these are the predominant tools that we use. Sometimes we also go with ads. But if not, these are just the organic tools. So, every strategy that I am teaching you would mostly revolve around these so that you get higher returns as well. Okay. So, for this session, if I have to sum it up, for a low ticket client, ensure that you're keeping your metrics very small because you need a wide range of clients because here you're not putting personal attention. So you can expect a 10% conversion rate. That's enough. So if you wanted to convert 10 clients, ensure that you are sending your emails to at least 100 or 200 or at least 500 clients in the for good sense. So you need a higher group of clients. So keep your metrics smaller. For example, CEO of a company in this segment with this much turnover. That's all. When you're operating with a mid-ticket client, in that case, you're putting in a little more effort. So you can be very specific on this is the type of customers I wanted to talk with. So that is why a 9-step customer persona is recommended. I'll share the documents and also I'll share the prompts with you over the group. Third thing is when you're focusing on enterprise clients, have very detailed customer persona and clearly know whom you're talking to. So use AI to generate very detailed personas. Use Sales Navigator to segregate them, and finally use LinkedIn so that you know. So you can use Crystal on LinkedIn so that you know how to pitch and what to pitch. Okay. So now with this, we'll sort the doubts and we'll close the session for today. In the next session, let us focus more on how to create those sales funnels. What exactly are sales funnels, or how do you go through this process of from pitching? Like let's say if it's stranger to client, how do you take that whole flow? So how do you pitch? How do you nurture? How do you close? So let's discuss more about that in the next session. Okay. So now I'm taking up this question. So when we are starting a new vertical of service or a product in the B2B business, we purely start the vertical based on our expertise in tech space. And some competitors are already successful. So we're initiating the same vertical. But we are facing difficulty in identifying the customer persona because we are new to this vertical, obviously. We don't have access to decision taker or targeting industry people and also couldn't discuss with competitors. In this situation, we are wasting a lot of time on trial and error on ads and wasting more money in it. Can you tell me how to handle this situation? Okay. First things first. If you're not sure of your customer persona, never run ads. Ads is just to escalate it. Okay. I'll tell you what your ad does. If now you're reaching out to one person, ads will help you to reach to 10 people because it amplifies. It's like a mic. Whatever you're speaking, it will amplify it. That's all. Ads doesn't do anything else. So do not run ads if you're not sure of what is the messaging that you're communicating or what is the audience that you're targeting. You will lose money. But instead, like you say, okay, can you give more specific on what exact product that you're saying so that I can give you very clear examples? Since we are in tech place, let's say we are speaking about CRMs. I'll give you a very straight example. Let's say you're launching a new CRM. So a CRM may be something better than HubSpot or in a leaner version. Okay, video management software. Okay, I am a little unsure of what a video management software is. Give me a second. Okay, video management software. Alright, smart CCTV, video surveillance. Okay, so if you are doing a video management, firstly AI video analytics. Okay, alright. So let's say you're taking AI video analytics or a CCTV surveillance command. First ask yourself, who is it useful for? Let us say, is it useful for, firstly, is it for residential, commercial, or industrial? Which of these? Let's say ideally residential should not go since it's B2B. So let's say we're going with industrial or commercial. So industrial is for industries and warehouses, commercial is for office spaces. Let's say we are doubling down on only industries. What type of industries will this work be helpful for? Then you are saying, okay, so for any manufacturing company, this is the size of the warehouse. Let's say in about, if it's around 3,000 square feet or it's a 1 lakh square feet of warehouse or a factory space, my video management software will be of really good help to them. Then you are saying, okay, so here there are two type of audiences. One are companies who are already having their warehouses and factories. Let's say FMCG warehouses or companies more like let's say automobile manufacturers or electronic manufacturers, or on the other hand, real estate 3PL warehouse leasing agencies who are saying, okay, so we have all of these amenities, since surveillance is also one of our amenities. So you have two types of audiences here, direct consumers and people who can use it as an additional facility to lease out. So now if you're again doubling down on, okay, I'm only choosing the direct customers, since it's also into AI video analytics, you can say, so anyone who's already having their factories, they can use it. So now you say, which industry do I choose? Do I choose FMCG? Do I choose my automobile? Do I choose electronics? Do I choose any other type of let's say any food or toys or any clothing manufacturer or anyone? You choose which industry, and then now you choose. Okay, so if there is an automobile manufacturer who is having his factory in a 1 lakh square feet of warehouse, that's my audience. That's my target audience. Now, based on this, you're asking AI to generate a profile. So, if video management is something that should be taken care of, there are two types of, again, designations that you can target. Either someone who is in charge of quality, or someone in charge of HR, or someone who is in charge of the security, correct? Three verticals are there. So, in these three, whom do you think is the most relevant? Now, that you will know when you do a little trial and error. But it's trial and error. Do not do it on ads. Instead, reach out to these people directly, either through LinkedIn or through your email. Just talk to them, reach out to people, drop in a good message and say, see, this is a video management software that we have. If there's someone in operations, speak to them and ask them. So this video management software will maybe help you to see how your entire system is working on, or this analytics will also help you to clearly, since you are mentioning AI analytics, I think you can also add in some things like what is the idle time of the machine, what is the working time. It gives you all these clear analytics so that you can know what your current capacity is, what is the running capacity of the machines and all of that. So depending on which decision maker you're speaking to, if you're speaking in operation, you speak most on productivity. If you're speaking into security, then you will say, so this will help you to understand more about is everything, are the safety things in place, or if tomorrow there's an audit or something, then you will have enough data for it. So that way, make your pitch message clear, create your messaging depending on what is the pain point of that particular decision maker. So here, while you're creating an enterprise level customer persona, also add about what is the personal goal for them, for that decision maker. So what will help them to prove their job better. So even if you're, let's say, reaching out to vice president, you can reach out saying, so this software will help you to give these metrics properly for your company, so it will help your compliance. And you as a VP, tomorrow if you're getting promoted to a CEO, this is something that will help you. Because any professional is also focused on his own professional growth within the company, right? So put all these motives together and create it. I hope this gave you the clarity for that, right? Do you understand what I'm saying clearly? Yeah. So just try pitching it. And while you're pitching, do not go with ads. Just go for direct pitching. Just either do it in email, or you can also, let's say if you're focusing on HRs, there are events that happen just for HRs. If you're focusing only on CXOs, there are events that happen only for CXOs. So reach out to them and talk to many people, because when you talk, since you're anyway launching a new vertical, you can also use your existing customers, existing prospects as a baseline. For example, when we started Strategy Sunday, the first session was attended majorly by my clients, the current clients, the previous clients, and people I know. But for this session, we have a lot of people whom I'm seeing for the first time, whom maybe we have not gotten introduced to. So when you're starting, just start with the existing resources that you have, so that you can scale consistently. And always remember, in the starting, you will not get good responses at all. Even if you get a 10% response rate, that's very much better. Because over time, even you will grow, but ensure that you're using those data right. For example, let's say, okay, in this session, if you see the number of people who are attending this session live are lesser, but we're also streaming on social media. This is also going as a YouTube video, and this is also going as a blog. So if you see this, the whole job of conducting this entire session is not just to have a live interaction, but also to repurpose this in multiple ways. So always have more than one utility for things that you do, so that you're able to get a good response. Okay. All right. So any other questions? Okay. So with that being said, I believe we are summarizing and we are closing today's Strategy Sunday session. So every week, every Sunday, we are conducting this session sharp for 1 hour. We start at 11 and we close at 12. We are precise on timings. Today we are extending by another 5 minutes, but we'll ensure that every time the timeline stays very intact. So like you clearly know, in the group description, you will always have the working document, which is a Word document that I have shared. So that is where we'll have the notes, the prompts, everything will be shared there. After the next 15-20 minutes, you can check the document, your prompts will be there, okay? So with that being said, in the next session, let's look forward to more about your sales funnel, your pitch, nurture and closing, so that you can get started. Okay.